Oh, good now. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for inviting us here. My name is Andreas Uihlein. I'm from the European Commission's Joint Research Center, and we'll talk today about our Energy and Industry Geography Lab, which is not specifically something for energy modelers and also nothing for climate experts, but I think it can still be a quite useful tool, and I hope you find it interesting. I'm here with my colleague Maria, who will also share the presentation with me. And to start with, I have prepared a couple of slides, and then we'll do a live demo that hopefully will work. So let's just go to the next slide. As I said, I will do a bit of introduction and background, then we'll have a live demo, and then I'll talk a bit about the next steps and also the kind of feedback that we would like to hear from the community and from you. And I think we can continue that later then in the Q&A session of today's webinar. Maybe for those of you who haven't heard about the JRC, the Joint Research Center is we call it the Science and Knowledge Service of the European Commission. So we are part of the European Commission, and we are here to support the EU policy making process with independent evidence. I think that's very important. We are independent and we have no political agenda. And we are a really big organization. The headquarters are in Brussels, and we have research facilities in 5 countries. About 2,800 staff, of which nearly 70% is like scientific and technical stuff. And in total, we have more than 1,000 scientific publications per year. Also a lot of research facilities and labs. And we are based in Petten, north of Amsterdam in the Netherlands, if you're asking where we're coming from. And what do we do? Well, our unit is basically a unit that is at the interface between the policy making process and the science. So we are like bridging a bit between science and policy making. And we are supporting mainly the European Green Deal and also the implementation of the industrial strategy. And we have since very long time worked with data to underpin the policy-making process and to provide evidence. And we have realized that I think that it would be beneficial to bring all that data together in a tool. So this tool that we will present today, the Energy and Industry Geography Lab, first, we made it with the idea to bring all the data from the unit and from the JRC together. But at the same time, we realized it's also important to have a tool that makes us or puts us in a position where we can make also analysis and assessment with the data. So basically bring the data together and create new knowledge out of it. A bit more technical, the Energy and Industry Geography Lab is focusing so far a bit on the energy intensive industries and the industry in Europe, because we are also one of the key actions of the updated industrial strategy of the EU, and that's where we have started. So you will find a lot of data also on industrial facilities and energy users, but we are now broadening a bit the scope of the Energy and Industry Geography Lab, and we'll see some of the data in a short while. Maybe shortly, the team, we're 6, but we are not all working full-time on the Energy and Industry Geography Lab. So we have little resources, but we have various profiles, from data analysts to cartography, GIS, data management, API development, web development, and we are always hiring. So I also want to put that there. So maybe we can also use the community to share some job offers. It's very nice here. We just had lunch at the beach, so I can recommend it. And with this, I think I will just hand over to my colleague Maria to the live demo. I think I have to stop the presentation. We made some backup slides, but I hope we will not use them. Let me see. Maria, I think you can now share your screen.
Perfect. Thank you, Andreas.
could you please let me know when you see the browser window?
I can see it now.
Perfect.
Yes.
Good. Well, good afternoon to all of you. Really good to be here today. As Andreas mentioned, I am the mapping expert of our team, and today I will show you the Energy Industry Geography Lab. So I'll give you a quick live demo, highlight some of the functionalities that we have, and demonstrate the capabilities this tool has. So when you go to this URL, it will be in the slides. Maybe we could also post it in the Slack chat later. Then you are directly accessing the tools, tool. You have presented here with a pop-up screen, which you can just click away once you've read the text. And then you are directly in the Energy and Industry Geography Lab tool. It consists of two main components. The first main big view that you see here is the mapping interface. So this is an interactive web map where all the data are displayed. So you can just, zoom in, zoom out with your mouse wheel. You can pan around by having your mouse button clicked. So this is where you can interact with the map. And here on the left, you have a lot of the functionalities that you could use. I use the terms functionality and widget interchangeably. And if you want to access these functionalities, you just have to click on it. And in this demo, we will start with this first functionality, which is called the layer list. So as the name already explains, this is a list where you can see all of the different maps that we have that you can view in this tool. These are grouped thematically, so you see we cover a broad range of topic. Here, for example, we have some data on energy infrastructure production. We have some data on hydrogen. We also have some data on renewable energy potential, or one data set on climate and weather. But I will show you this in a bit, just to highlight that we cover a lot of different topics in this tool. And now when you load the page, you see that some colorful dots appear on the map. And you see here indicated by this blue checkbox that this is a layer in the energy and infrastructure production group. And if you want to expand it now, you just click on this triangle next to the layer, and then this group expands. And then you'll see that in this layer group, in this thematic group, we have at the moment 3 data sets. One data set on power plants in general and their installed capacity in Europe, one dedicated data set on hydropower plants and gas extraction. You will notice that next to each layer, you have this triangle again. So when you click on it, you see that then the legend expands. So here you can see what is it that you're actually looking at in the map. If you don't want to look at the legend widget here because you think it takes too much space here in the layer list, you can also just go to the next widget, which is called legend, where you can view the legend of the data set that is currently visible. And by also just clicking on those checkboxes and then just clicking on another checkbox, you can activate and deactivate some layers. Just showing you some of the data sets. These were our energy and infrastructure production data sets on the power plants. But we also have some renewable energy potential data. Here again, just notice that I am clicking on those little arrows to expand the group. And now we will look at a biomass renewable energy potential layer, where you have data on the potential production of biomass energy in Europe based on some small administrative regions. As you see here, we also have some data on solar and wind. So there's a lot of data sets you can explore and look at here. And while considering the scope of our presentation today, we also have one data set on climate and weather. Specifically, this is a climate classification where the regions are classified based on their climate region. But for the rest of the presentation, I will go back to our initial layer, which is the power plant data set. So let's say now you have switched on the layer that you're interested in, and now you want to explore a bit the data that you're actually looking at. And to do that, you have 2 options. The first one is to explore individual data points. And you can do that by just selecting the layer here and then just clicking on one of those features in the map. So let's say, for example, let's zoom in a bit. I'm interested in those power plants that are here in the south of the Netherlands. So just click on this point, and then the pop-up window appears. And in this pop-up window, you can see all of the information that we have on this specific data point, starting from the name of the production unit, or for example, the type of generation unit. So what kind of production facility is this, to some statistics, to the region ID. So you have a lot of information here on each individual data point. Sometimes you will notice that there are some data points clustered. You will see here that there's like 3, 4, 5 points on top of each other. And this is also indicated here on the top of the pop-up window. And if you want to just switch between those points on top of each other, you can just click on the arrow here on the top right to navigate between the different points that are on top of each other or very close to each other. So this is the one way of how you can explore the dataset, by clicking in the map view directly and exploring the pop-up. But sometimes you also want to explore the entire data table itself. And you can do that by, again, going to the layer list widget and then clicking on those three dots next to the layer name. And when you click on it, you see that the options view and attribute table appears. And when you click on it, the attribute table of the certain data set shows up. So it's a bit like an Excel sheet where you can find all of the information right there, in this case, 7,000 features. You can increase the size of the attribute table by just clicking on the border here. And you could also minimize it by clicking on this button here in the middle at the top. And once you want to view it again, you can expand it again. One thing that's also very interesting for all of you to know is you could also export all of the data that we have in this tool. And you can do that by going in the attribute table to the options section and then click export all to CSV. And then just directly the export option appears and you can download it. At the moment, for technical reasons, the number of features that can be downloaded is limited per data set. Most of the data sets, the maximum number of features that can be downloaded is 2,000 for technical restrictions. For this specific data set, we increased it to 7,000 because this is a very prominent data set. But should you find yourself in a situation where you want to download a data set that is bigger than the number of features that can be downloaded, you can either just download some parts of it, or you could look at our data documentation and go to the original data source, or you're of course always very welcome to reach out to us, and we are very happy to help and provide the data to you. To show you one of the analysis features that this tool has, I will go here to the filter widget now. And this allows you basically to dynamically filter the data you're viewing. And now for this example, I would like to not view all of the power plants in Europe, but only the hydro power plants. And now I will show you how you could do that in the filter widget. So to get there, you of course have to click on it and then click on create filter. And then you see that you have to select a layer. What you will see now is that you can select the layer based on its layer group. And for this, you have to go back to the layer list widget and see what the group is, so to say. So basically, you have to navigate to the hierarchy where the layer is. So in this case, I want to go to the group energy infrastructure production, and I wanted to select the layer power plants. So I will go back here and do exactly that. In the drop-down list, I'm looking for energy infrastructure production, and then I'm selecting power plants. Once you have selected a layer, you can just add an expression here. And then you have to add a logical criteria, so to say. So you have to select what kind of field are you filtering and based on what criteria, so to say. So in this case, we want to go into the power plants layer to the attribute type of generation unit. And we want to have all of the hydro power plant facilities, so to say. So now the first thing you have to do is select the attribute here. And these attributes that are here in the drop-down menu are exactly the same thing that you see in the pop-up window. So in this case, I'm looking for the attribute type generation unit. And then you have certain options. You could have is, contains, does not contain. What is also a really nice option is any of, because then you can just select yourself what you want. So in this case, I want to have any kind of features where the type of the generation unit is related to hydro. And once you type that in, you see all of the different categories proposed, and then you just go ahead and select those. And you see, as I typed in this criteria, the map view automatically updated. And now I only see the hydropower plants. You can switch off and on this filter here by using this toggle button. Okay, this already concludes the features that I'm going to show you now. Just to wrap up, I will point your attention to some other nice features that we have. We do have an About widget. Here you can find some information and our email address in case you want to reach out to us. We have one widget called Export, where you can export some maps on your own. We don't have time now to show you what that looks like, but just to show you, I created a map beforehand of the biomass potential in the Netherlands. So this is a map with this feature. You can just create it very easily yourself. And we have a share widget where you can share a link of the map that shows to the area where you zoomed in and the layers you had switched on. So maybe to wrap up this part of my demonstration, the power of the tool is really the amount, the diversity of data that we have in there, and the different functionalities that you can use. So you can not only view the data, but you can also really explore them and get some knowledge for your own analysis. So I really invite you to explore it, have a look. Some of the data sets were also mentioned in the previous presentation, like the power plants or renewables potentials. So I hope that this is also something that could be useful to you. And to wrap up, I would like to point your attention also to a website that we have set up with some additional information. You can find the link here at the bottom. And on this website, this is where this link leads you. You can find, again, the link to the platform and animation we have developed. You can find some information on how to contact us, and you can also find some documentation. So, for example, if you ask yourself, what are the metadata of those data sets? What year are they from? What is the download link? What is the terms of reuse? Anything that you want to know, you can find here on this website. Good, and that wraps it up for my part of the live demonstration. And I will hand back to Andreas.
Yes, thanks. David, how much time do we have left? Just to be sure we're not...
2 to 3 minutes or so. 2 to 3 minutes.
That will be fine. Yeah, so Maria showed you some of the functionalities in the tool itself. I think I'm going to wrap up with a couple of slides. Well, we have shared already the links. The website looks now slightly different because unfortunately or fortunately last week we had a major revamp of the website, so you will maybe not recognize it, but the links are still working. And as said, you will find metadata, documentation, also some tutorials and more links there. To sum up, maybe I also made a list of the layers that could be potentially of potential interest to the community today. So it's, as I said, the energy infrastructure, power plants, gas and power infrastructure, the industrial facilities. So far, we have mainly energy intensive industries there. We have hydrogen infrastructure, transport infrastructure, and renewable energy potential. And Maria showed you the climate classification, but that's not all. But I think that is maybe the main important layers that could be interesting to you. So what will be the next steps? We have just launched the tool in December. So it's brand new, and we are doing now continuously still data updates. So we will also improve the user interface and add more data sets. And we have quite a lot of visitors per month. And we hope also to have more user feedback for the functionalities and data errors, obviously, and corrections we need to do. In parallel, we continue with our user support like today, but we'll also have some more webinars and tutorials. And obviously for us, the most exciting is now to put the tool to use and do some case studies and assessments. What we have in mind mainly now is looking at the energy infrastructure of the future and really doing geospatial assessments of where is the future energy need, what type of energy do we need where, and how can we get the energy from A to B. So it's the infrastructure, it's the demand and the use and the production of the energy, and how that all can be put together. And maybe from you, what would be really nice is to hear your feedback on the data, the existing data that we have in there. We have so far made mainly data available that pictures the situation as it is now. So what is on the ground, what is really there. But we are now moving more and more into future projections, meaning on the basis of our studies and assessments, what will be and how will the landscape look in 20, 30, 40 years. So the forward-looking component is something we're working on. And I think for that will be also very helpful to see if you have studies that produce interesting results that could be also hosted and on the platform. There's maybe only one caveat, that we are interested in geospatial data. So even if it's something at the country level, the tool is not ideal. I think it's really designed to have really highly high level of spatial detail, let's say. But yeah, I think we are very curious to hear your questions and also hear what are your data needs and what are other features you would like to have on the platform. And with that, I think we are finished with our presentation. Thank you very much.